Hey guys, so today we're going to be taking a look at another Let's Defend challenge. I believe the next one we have up is HTTP basic auth. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna pull up the PCAP now, wherever it may be. Here it is. Just minimize this. Okay. And let's go ahead and get these questions on here. Okay. So we got first question is how many HTTP GET requests are in the PCAP? So this isn't really a giant PCAP, so if you really want to, you could, I guess, just count them, but we're not going to do that because we're better than that, so we're going to set a filter. I don't know the top of my head what this filter would be, but as I've shown before, basically, as you can see in this very first number 12 over here, we have our first get HTTP request. So I click on it, and we go down here in the hypertext transfer protocol, and you can see there is the get request right now. Alright, so one way to filter for this is if I click the little drop down and go to the request method get, if I click on that, right under my cursor, you should see http.request.method. So that tells you that's how you set a flag for this. So http dot what was it? Request dot method. So if we click, we type that out, and we actually have only 5 get requests. Alright, so that is the answer to the first question. There are 5, I believe. Okay. Second question is, what is the server operating system? So this is kind of like a two-part question, because first we have to find out which one is the server. So easiest way for me to find that out, and it's kind of right here in front of us, but I'll go ahead and explain my reasoning here, is if we are getting get requests here, like for example, we just search for get requests, as you can see, these other IP addresses are sending this get request. Now, what this is basically saying is, hey, .20 is requesting to get some sort of file, folder, somewhere, some page, some web page from this IP address. And as we can see, this has been the one IP address where all these get requests are going. So that leads me to believe that 1.1.1.5 is our server. So if we click on that, so that was not answering our question, was it? No. Right, it's not. So it's asking what is the operating system for that. Okay, so we know .1.1.5. I'm just gonna say .5 from now on. I don't think there's another .5 that we'll get confused with here, but if we know that that is a server, for example, our first get request right here, so we see a response from from .5, and from here we should be able to see, am I in the right spot? From here we should be able to see what is the operating system. Yeah, actually right here. So we went to, just to recap what I just did, we went to this one right here, the response of this get request, and we'll take a look at what the actual response is. And let me actually move this up a little bit so we can see a little clearly. Okay, so we got our first get request. We see a response from the server, and what that response is basically saying is right here. Oh, I thought I could just highlight it. Never mind. The server cannot verify that you are authorized to access the document requested. Either you supplied the wrong credentials, or your browser doesn't understand how to supply the credentials required. So that is what the web page of this person .20 would be displaying to them based off what this, whatever they requested, that is what they got in return. But if we look at that, we see that the server responds and sends them that web page. So if we go to the hypertext transfer protocol, we should see more information about the server, where it says server, Apache, and this is actually the operating system right here, FreeBSD. So that answers our question. And now on to question 3. What is the name and version of the web server software? And we actually don't have to go anywhere else for this, because the answer to that is Apache /2.2.15, version 2.2.15. Alright, and then our next question is, what is the version of OpenSSL running on the server? We don't have to go anywhere else either. I'm pretty sure, we will double check in a second, or towards the end of this video when we actually open up the web page where I have all my answers. As I mentioned before, I already did this HTTP authentication or basic authentication challenge, so all the answers are already set. But I'm pretty sure it's just OpenSSL, and I think everything in before the backslash, but we'll double check. But yeah, all 3 of those, what is the name and version of the web server software, what is the server operating system, OpenSSL, all 3 of those are found from this one line right here. Alright, next question is, what is the client's user agent information? Well, we know there are, from what I've seen so far, I know there are so far only 2 clients, or 2 people, or people, I say people, 2 IP addresses that are basically sending out requests to the server. Right? So far I've seen .50. Okay, yeah, I have. Okay. We have .20 and .50. I've been seeing some. Here we got some syntax. So .50 is one. So we know that there's at least 2 clients. I'm pretty sure I don't see anything else here. So .20 and .50. Yeah. So we know there are 2 clients. So if we find anything, just like how we can find some information, so we have, where were we here? This is the packet that we were talking about before. So I'm pretty sure actually in here, in the same spot that we were just at, and for whatever reason I ended up moving everywhere else. Our response, the server responds to .20. Maybe if we look at the GET request, actually, yeah, you would want to go to the packet that actually 12 that actually has .20 sending this GET request, because that would tell you their user agent information. Now I'm trying to recall, and I may take a look at it here, and we might just take the time to find it in LetsDefend, but I'm pretty sure the user agent right here, I don't know why, sometimes there's a lot of text everywhere and it's kind of hard to see, but the user agent is basically, from my understanding, I believe it's what tells you how that computer is communicating to this web server. So it's the information that the web server needs to know details on how to respond to your computer. So whenever you make a request to the computer, you send out information like, oh, this IP address is using Google Chrome version whatever, this and that, and this is how that basically tells the server how to respond to this IP address. And we might just take the time, actually, while we're here talking about this, to actually, let's see if that is said somewhere in LetsDefend. I believe in detecting web attacks. While I look for this, I might just cut this part out real quick, and I'll get back to you. Okay, actually that was a lot faster of a find here. So yeah, here's basically the example of what they give for a actual GET request line. So as you can see, user agent is line 5, and here's an example of one. And if you go scroll down to line 5 here, it's basically saying this is information regarding the client's browser and operating system under user agent header. Web servers use this information to send specific HTTP responses to the client. You can find some automated vulnerability scanners. I still said that wrong, but I'm not going to try again. By looking under this header. Okay, so yeah, that's basically what I was saying. So that's why they probably asked you that. It gives you just that information that we just said. So just wanted to verify that to make sure I wasn't just speaking nonsense. So yeah, where were we? That was question. There we go. What is the client's user agent information? Okay. What is the username used for basic authentication? And then it's also asking what the password was. So we got here. So this response here says authorization required. And actually, if we scroll down here, we have an OK. So meaning someone reached a successful web page somewhere. And if we open this up, it works. So return the web page that says it works. Well, what worked exactly? So let's find out. And looks like we might have found out. Yeah, so we see a code 200 OK, meaning that someone got a successful web page. That's basically, like 200 is basically meaning that, hey, this switch, a successful connection or web page response, successful is usually what my brain jumps to immediately whenever I see the numbers 200 when it comes to that. So I was curious what exactly caused this, so I just went back to the request. And we actually see under hypertext transfer protocol, we see something that says authorization. We drop down, and here we have actual credentials. So unlike before in the other packet that we were looking at, where we got an authorization code 401, bit where it returned that they couldn't verify that it was us or that we were authorized to access this web page. Because this time we got a 200 OK, I went back and looked at it, and here we are, authorization credentials. So username would be, whoops, I always think that I can highlight it, but I can't. Username would be web admin, and password would be basically web admin, but with all these weird letters. So that should be, let me just verify that. Verify username used for, okay, so we're looking for the username, web admin, and password. Okay, so that should be it actually. So let me pull up the actual LetsDefend challenges. So if you go to, yep. Okay. So first one was how many HTTP GET requests, and I like to do this at the end just to do like a small recap. So let me just go ahead and pull that up again. Okay. How many HTTP GET requests? So as we talked about before, we basically just filtered for any GET requests. So that's how we found that there were 5 total. What is a server operating system? Kind of a two-part question because we had to determine what the server was, and that would be .5.1.1.1.5. It's the one that's responding to the actual GET request. So that's kind of how we figured that one out. From there, we would look at the responses and see I don't think I'm at the right packet, the exact packet where that is shown. But from looking at the responses to the GET request, we basically see that the server information, server operating system is FreeBSD. Yeah, we also, from that same exact line where it tells us our operating system, that also tells us the version of the web server right there. And it also tells us the version of OpenSSL running on the server. So all three of those questions from that one line. And we move on to question 5. What is the client's user agent information? From here, we look at the actual GET request, and then you can see the client's user agent information. As we went over earlier, that basically just means the web server operating system, at least from LetsDefend's definition of it, I showed earlier. That's what that is. And number 6, I believe we should still be on it. Yep. We basically look at one point, see if I can find it. Yeah. At one point, we get a successful web page from a GET request. And looking at the actual request, we see in the hypertext transfer protocol that there are credentials. Username should be webadmin, and password is a funky version of webadmin. So, and I believe that's all of them. Yeah, this one has 7. And on to the next one. I think after this, I'll take a look at shell shock attack. All right, guys, thank you.